Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pre-LCS Week 7 SK Gaming press conference. Last time we had some sound issues. This time we're fine. Thanks to our friends at HyperX for providing me with this headset. I'm joined by our coach, as usual, Lukas and one of the players this time, CandyPanda. Welcome, gentlemen. So, how do you feel after Week 6? First of all, Lukas, can you please go first, and Candy will share his opinion.
Me first or Adrian first?
Let's go with you.
I would like to add after Adrian, to be honest. So Adrian starts.
Well, after week 6, it felt really bad because in the first 3 weeks we were 0-6 as well, but at least there it was the beginning of the season and we knew that we could still come back if we started winning. But now it's so late in the season that after going 0-2 again and being 3-9 that we know like it's getting really tough to even get into playoffs, pretty much impossible almost. So it's really crushing and yeah, it doesn't feel good at all.
Lukas?
Yeah, last week we still had hopes for playoffs, but now like we slowly realized that we are playing against relegation or even relegation only if we get super lucky, and that is like very unlikely. So basically we're not going to Earth anymore, and we're not going into playoffs anymore. We avoid relegation. Sad but true.
From your point of view, Lukas, how does one tackle such a disappointment in the sense that you had a really key week, and then unfortunately things didn't go your way? So a competitive spirit, like how do you nurture the competitive spirit to keep going?
There's not much you think you can do, to be honest. And this is connected to the way we lost. Like if we would have lost like in a kind of way that was close or something, then the mindset would maybe be different. But we know that we ourselves like lost the game all on our own, and for that everybody is responsible. So everybody feels super bad about this, and there's nothing you can do to change that. Not much.
All right, we'll move into more game-specific questions. So the first match was SK versus Roccat. Roccat were pretty much in the same boat as we are. So Candy, the like the usual suspects in the AD carry position are Sivir, Kalista, maybe a Corki here and there. So you picking Tristana was kind of surprising, at least for me. Can you please explain overall, like not in our composition, but just overall, what does Tristana bring right now as a pick?
Yeah, Tristana is kind of like was a new up-and-coming AD carry that you could pick if Tristana, if Sivir or like if Kalista would be banned. So she's really good against Sivir because she can, even though Sivir can spell sheet like the W or the E, like she can only spell sheet one spell, so the other two spells will still hit. So you're really good 1v1 potential, and she can also outpush the Tristana. And she can do equal damage as Sivir in teamfights, so she's like a competitive pick against Sivir. So that's why I picked her up. And also we had a lot of magic damage already, so I didn't want to pick Corki to put even more magic damage into the team. So we needed some physical damage. That's why I picked her over Corki.
If you have to rate her from 1 to 5, or just put her in a top something position, where would you put her right now?
I would put her below Kalista, Sivir, Corki. So I would put her equal to Israel and Vayne after Sivir, Corki, Kalista.
Okay, so we saw Sven pick a carry jungler. Am I correct in assessing Echo as a carry jungler? Is that correct, like game wise?
I don't know. He's like I don't know if he's carry. He's more tank, I would say. He's really good at absorbing a lot of damage and then just ulting out. But what he can do is set up really good team fights with his stun. He's like a carry in a way that he can set up really good fights, but he's not a carry jungler like Kha'Zix, for example.
Yeah, you basically can't play carry junglers anymore. Basically, like damage-wise.
No, fair. This is one of the advantages of having a conversation with you guys, so I can always like fill the gaps inside my head. So my question was, how do you think Sven did on Echo? Because he seems to go wild sometimes.
Yeah, I think he did really good. Like, one of the good things with Echo is that he can go wild, and then just ult out when they focus him. So he can always like bait out spells and make the enemy waste their time focusing him, and then yeah, Echo fits him well. But right now he's nerfed a lot, so yeah, he's not that great anymore.
Early game, we seem to show, like in the past 3 weeks, I think, we seem to show like a really good early game prowess. In both games versus Giants and Rocket, you did extremely well in the early game. Steve got completely shut down. Sven and Freddy were going really nice in their head-to-heads against Jankos and Steve. You, on the other hand, had some pretty good Tristana games. What happens in the mid game? Does it become more difficult to shot call? Does it become more difficult to make out the right decisions? What's happening post a certain point in time, in a sense? First, I'd like Lukas to address this, and then we go to Candy.
Yeah, it's not a mystery or a secret that our late game at the moment is not one of the strongest of our points. I think like there are always several reasons for that. You could blame it on shot calling. You could blame it on that you don't sometimes know what to do in late game, because late game scrimming is something which is rather, doesn't happen all the time, so you don't get to practice it so as much as early and mid game anyway. And maybe the third reason, which I would say, is that there is more confidence in early and mid game in all of our players than actually in late game, because we had success in the early game like quite for a while now, and we know that we can do it, but late game has been a problem always. And so if you reach together the late game, everybody now gets shaky and it's like, oh, can we do it, can we do it, can we do it? So you distract yourself a little bit. So maybe that would be the most influential reasons, but yeah, maybe there are 10 others which I didn't realize or didn't mention, but yeah. So Adrian, what would you say?
Yeah, I think like sometimes we get outscared in the Giants game, for example, where after we lost to Nesha, that bought them the time to scale up with their tiers, and like Urgot got his tier completed, Rice got his tier completed, Israel got his level 16, so they all scaled up really well. That was like, for example, one reason, and then in some other games the truth is just that we can't or we don't train the late game in scrims, so we're not prepared to like close up the game well once it comes in the LCS. First of all, like the scrims rarely go to like 35 minutes plus, and then if they do, then we don't really focus on closing out the game. So was a big mistake from our part, I feel.
Candy, you're a very experienced player. You've been playing since season 1. Has that always been the case throughout all those years that late game scrimmages have never been reality? So is there no possible way for a team to like make a contract of some sorts, like, guys, we don't FF at like 15 minutes? Was that always the case? The case?
I mean, yeah, you can do that, but it's no real point, because then teams will just keep playing even though it's like 10k gold lead at 20 minutes and no one will play serious anymore, and you just roll over them. So it's whatever. What really matters is that even though the game might be chaotic, you try to like play it controlled so you can train the things you need to train instead of falling into this chaos scenario where you just try to win by outplays one-on-one or something.
have you seen, like, during your time as a player, have you seen any teams that have tackled this despite the obstacle of short scrimmages?
I mean, we did last year. I remember we trained really well. Every scrim we had like a goal in mind that we wanted to achieve. That scrim, 1 week it was dragons, the other week it was barons. The other week it was how to rotate properly, then how to dive. Just focus on that. Focus on one thing at a time. And we did that really well. While this season I feel like our scrims were really lacking in our goal setting.
Do you reckon the dragon changes had anything to do with it? Like the shift from gold to a type of buffs, or
Yeah.
any other game related change?
Yeah, that changed a lot about lane swaps, because before, if you just stood on bot lane, you always got advantage because you got the Drake XP and the gold. But now if you lane swap, you just you get the dragon, but it's just 6% AD. It's like really worthless. So that changed a lot for our lane swaps and our early game pressure, because before you could, if we had pressure, you could really snowball off the drakes. While now you can only snowball like off towers. So it really changed our game from compared to last year.
Yamato Cannon made history with like a very famous quote right after the game. He came on stage and said like, "Holy shit, what the f," about the whole game.
Yeah.
So do you think that was a game filled with a lot of errors? Was it back and forth in the classical sense, or was it just one mistake, like throw, counter throw? What do you think?
I think we just didn't snowball our lead correctly that we had in the early. I feel like we put the wrong prioritization on where to put the wards. We should have put them somewhere else. So that stalled out the mid game, and then late game we just I don't know, it's just throw fast. Even though we got like 5 dragons and 3 Nashors, we couldn't close out the game because I don't know, we were just not experienced in closing out the games in like such a late game scenario.
Lucas, I don't want you to get bored, so I have one for you. Stemming from Yamato's amazing quote. Do you reckon some of the like EU has lost its charm in a sense? We used to be a region with like high quality games, but ever since like the changes, new teams coming in, is Europe as a region taking its time to develop into a really good quality games again?
What do you mean by good quality games?
Most of them seem like a throw, counter throw type scenario. And even I've seen analysts, I've seen players, I've seen coaches say that sometimes it's the team that makes the, you know, if someone makes 5 mistakes, if you make 4, you win. Something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like compared to China and Korea, Europe is a pretty weak region. As NA 2, I would only consider TSM and Fnatic like comparable to China and Korea anyway. So in that sense, it's true that the one who does less mistakes tends to win the game. Yes, I would say that. And what was that was another part of the question.
It was just in general commenting on the state of EU, because I've just seen so
I don't
many
think it's
people.
good. I don't think EU is good. Like from the overall quality, like yeah, I would like, and you can see it in the variety of. I like to describe a skill set of a team in the variety of styles they can play and to what percentage of maximum performance they can do that. I would say H2K is a good team, but I personally feel they only have one style, and if that style gets like prepared against specifically with bans and with a strategy, you can't out-strategize them because they play this one way. And this is what happened to us last season when we had Kostas forgiven in our roster because he forced playstyle up onto the team and wouldn't like get away from that. So we were stuck in that playstyle, and that is one of the reasons why it bit us in the ass in the end in the playoffs, because then teams have a lot of time to prepare for you, to like specifically train, pick, ban, rotations against you, so that like this is where it comes down. Best of 3, best of 5s. They can really see what team is better. Best of 1 is always like, meh. So I feel from the variety and the quality of how this variety is played, Fnatic is the solo one good team in Europe, and Origin may be good as well, but they are not in for such a long time, and you will have to see in playoffs how good they will do.
Candy, last question with regards to the SK versus Rocket game. How is Rellis doing with his adaptation into the Rocket lineup, in your opinion?
I think he's getting more comfortable week by week, so he's doing good. And if they get into like playoffs, I think they can do well with him.
You've played versus him in the past. Was he stuck in support prison? Now that he has Vander and he's performing rather well, do you reckon that's a factor?
Supported
a
EF
key
before,
factor.
actually. He had Noxiac in denial. No, wait. Who did he have in
He was in Super Hawk Crew, so we had Kasink for a short period of time, like a couple of weeks. Then before he had Mixa, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, in general, just.
Well,
We will
I wouldn't
fail
say he
also.
was. Yeah, I remember. I wouldn't say he was in support prison, but I remember how good Kazing was back then.
What wasn't Mr. Rallis the one with the most changed supports, like all
I
time?
think so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. He wasn't in so great teams. He was also in MYM, right? Last split. So, I mean, you can't shine in a bad team. Impossible as AD carry. So, you just. I guess now is his time to like show how good he really is. So yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move to the SK versus Giants one. Like the biggest question everyone was asking is why not ban the damned Ezreal? Why not?
I don't think he's that strong. I think we just fucked up. That's all. In the weeks after, you could see that or in the scrims even now this week, you could see he really wasn't that good. And we just fucked up and lost.
How does one tackle the Ezreal problem?
Well, first of all, I think he's
in
really
solo
weak.
queue, let's not give away any strategies and stuff.
Yeah, in solo queue, like, it's really easy. You just push him in because he's really weak in lane and he will never be able to push. So you just push him in and you roam and you get kills and you just snowball because Ace is just stuck in mid lane and can't move. So yeah, that's one way. And then also building Banshee late game really shuts him down, I feel like. Or any magic resist.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
Yeah.
Before we go to next questions, I'd urge like my very beloved Twitch chat to just start spamming questions. Like the fact that we're not addressing them now doesn't mean we're not going to address them later on. So ask your questions and then we'll move on to them in a short while. Next thing about DSK versus Giants is Godfred. Like we haven't seen a lot from him. Literally the only thing I've seen besides a solo queue rating was a clip with Reckless where he took a bullet from him and it was really funny. So have you played against Godfred before in solo queue? Who is Godfred? Is he good? How's he doing in Giants? Can you give us like an overall assessment?
He's doing good, right? No, actually, I always confuse Promiscu and Godfred, but yeah, Godfred is in Giants and he's really good. So, yeah, I mean, what can you say? His Adri, I think, is really good as well. So they're a good team and he's doing well. And it surprised me because they only talk Spanish and he's like not Spanish, so yeah, requires some communication, but they manage it and they do well. So good for them.
From an outside point of view, how do you think they complement each other as a bot lane duo?
I think they have the same style, like Forgiven kind of style, where they wanna trade a lot and like punish every CS.
Lukas, how does one tackle the Giants who are on top of their game? How do you perceive them as an opponent?
Could you specifically like pose the question again?
Giants seem. I asked you the same thing last week, but how do you like prepare for them? Now I just want to know post this game.
Yeah.
What kind of a team are Giants in your eyes? Because they seem hot and cold. Right now they're doing really well. Everyone says that they can make playoffs, but you can never pinpoint and say, okay, this team will finish third. they're not your H2K, they're not your Orahan. It's just, you never know when they will flop.
Time will show, I would say. But regarding our preparation was good. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a 10k gold lead.
Do you reckon that could just be a team comp advantage because they had double tier and so on?
No, actually, I think it was pretty bad from them. Like, if we didn't do many mistakes or like big mistakes, they would have no single chance of coming back with three tiers.
Well, actually, it was 2 tiers. Israel didn't have tier, but he was really weak in lane anyway because he's Israel. So.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't even do anything. Like, okay, they got Nash, then he got a triple. Okay, then he's gonna hurt, obviously. But before that, no.
Yeah.
Candy, you had a whole year playing with Embedded in season 4. So coming back, did you spice it up? Is there anything new, or is it just like instant click, like the same German efficiency bot lane doing their magic?
I think this season we fit a lot better together than last season because I think the meta fitted us better, where you can play like Nautilus and any like engaged supports. It's good for us, I think. So it was good.
So our viewers might not know this, but 3 interviews are in the pipelines, one with you, one with Rated, and one with Svenskeren. And in one of them, you told me that when you and Embrated have a conflict, you have a really easy way to just like say, okay, we're not going to make a big deal out of this. Can you tell like our viewers right now, how does conflict resolution in the bot lane work?
I mean, like an example, like you mean like if
you mess up a trade, Candy, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Like, how do you diffuse that before you get into all like children mode and stuff?
Yeah, I think like both know how trading works. So if one fucked up, he knows like what he did wrong. So it's just like, okay, we lost the trade. Okay, it was my fault because I was out of position. No, it was my fault because I missed my stun or whatever. So it's simple, really. What gets more complicated is like roaming things and warding things, and like all-ins, they get a bit more complicated because a lot can go wrong there. So there are a lot of things to get confused about.
So Lukas, if you could choose, like let's say we take you out theoretically out of SK, and you had to choose between a team which is full of youngsters that can be psychologically molded, or you have like experienced veterans who can deal with personal conflicts, issues, and stuff. Which one would you choose to manage and why?
I never thought of that before. Actually, honestly, I cannot answer that question because I'm not a super experienced coach at the moment. Neither I'm a super experienced sport psychologist. I would say the more difficult thing would be to work with veterans. Generally, I would feel that way. But otherwise, if you really want to go far and if you really want to reach high, then I think it's nearly impossible to do that with youngsters over the course of a year or 1.5. They have to be exceptionally well talented in order to do so, I feel.
All right, gentlemen, we have 5 or 6 minutes left, so we're going to take some Twitch chat questions, our beloved Twitch chat. So Candy, this is a question for you. Could you compare your team's strengths and weaknesses against the teams you play this week?
We play Gambit and Wolves this week, so they're like in a similar position we are, in the way that we are kind of negative scores. Like, we don't have a positive win rate, so I mean, that means that we both have a lot of weaknesses. So it's just about like who can abuse the other's weaknesses better and who can avoid the other's strengths better as well. And I would say that against Gambit, it's definitely the bot lane and the cover chart who tries to like carry the game with like Fizz or Hacker. And against Wolves, I would say it's mostly Shook that's really dangerous. with like one-trick champions like Rengao, or like he plays a really good Lee Sin as well.
You've played, I think, 2 years in Cologne in the LCS, and now it's season 5 Berlin. How do you like Berlin so far?
I didn't have time to sightsee actually that much, since like every time we lose, I just think to myself that we should train more. So even on like 3 days, like Saturday, I try to play some solo queues. So I don't know. It's. I was in Berlin before. It's pretty nice. It's like it's bigger, you know. It's not as personal as Cologne, I feel. So it feels more strange, but at the same time, it's also nice. I don't know. But overall, I think I like Cologne much more because it's like more centralized. It's still a big city, but it's more personal on a level. And also, I used to live there for like 10 years. So yeah, obviously, I like it more.
Lucas, do you share the sentiment?
100%.
Next question is the team still in build-up phase at the moment? We saw improvement, but how far do you consider yourself in terms of team play? Whoever wants to take it.
That's an interesting question, considering, because I mean, if our goal would be to like do well in relegation, you could consider us in build-up phase. But our goal was to go to Worlds, and since we didn't achieve that, like, I think our team is in a really weird spot right now. So it's hard to answer where we are now, since I don't know, if you don't achieve your goal that you thought you could achieve so well, like you did last year, and you just fail at it completely, then it's a really weird dynamic in the team right now. So I don't know where we are myself, and we'll see what happens in the next weeks.
Lucas?
Yeah, that's mainly the reason. The thing is, what personally is the most unfortunate thing, I would put it that way, is that from the talent we have or the experience, we could have. I think we could have done it generally, but we all messed up. So this is sometimes it is in life that you don't go to Worlds, although you could have.
Candy, there was a new patch notes posted, I think yesterday. Have you had the time to look at them? What do you think?
Yeah. Okay, so about the patch notes, I think Riot is really doing a really poor job at patching the game right now, considering that whenever something is broken, like for example Ryze, they just, instead of nerfing him, they even buffed him even more. So that's like just mind blowing. So, and also, for example, they don't address the meta in any way. Kalista and CV have been broken for so long now. Even though they nerfed CV a bit and they nerfed Kalista now, I think it took them way too long. And the meta has been really stale. But on the other hand, you could also argue that now there are so many champions playable that like there was never before. You know, mid lane has like 10 champions, AD carry has like 6 champions, etc., etc. So there could be arguments for both sides, but I like it much more if the meta gets addressed instead of just letting it like go randomly like they do right now.
I feel the same way, and I did a joke yesterday when I sat with the team, and I said, obviously Riot kicked the best one out of the balancing tier. This is sometimes what I really think. Like the amount of change they did, like since 1 year compared to the 3 years before, is like insane. It's insane.
Some people even feel that the balance team has no AD carry players at all, and that team it's only just like mid laners and top laners and junglers.
Yeah.
Okay, so last. Oh wait, we have one for Lucas. Lucas, do you think the AP item changes will play in favor of Fox's champion pool or not?
What? Once again?
There was quite a lot of AP itemization changes. Will that be in favor of Fox, or will it work against him?
I'm not a mid laner. So you should ask Fox, but yeah, I just overlooked the patch changes like super shortly, and I would say it can go both ways. But generally, I would say, since I feel Hampus is a good mid laner, that he will know how to make use out of that. So basically, rather good for him than rather bad.
Speaking of patch notes, Candy, last question to you. How do you feel is the current situation with AD carries in solo queue? Let's bring back the whole good old wine train.
Yeah, this is the part where I cry about Rengar one tricks camping me all day. Because I could do that right now, but honestly, it does happen, yeah, when a Rengar just comes out of the bush and just kills you in 1 second, which is really annoying, but overall, I think with AD you still have the ability to carry the game, like even 1v9 if you want to, so it's a good position right now. Even though sometimes it's out of your reach, like nothing you can do. If you're top laner and mid laner, just feed the Rengar, the Master E, or the Kha'Zix, or whatever fuck, then they will just kill you and nothing you can do about it. So, yeah. But overall, if your team is half decent, you can probably do well. Yeah. And buy pink wards against Rengar. Really important.
With PSA to all the supports out there.
Yeah. No, also the AD carries, actually. Both have to buy.
So if we draw like a line through all the seasons, so season 2, we reached Worlds. Season 3 was kind of not that good. Season 4, we started from relegations and went to Worlds. And now season 5 seems to be on a downward spiral. Can we predict that season 6 could be like the return of SK Gaming once again, featuring CandyPanda?
That's not something I can answer right now. Have to see what the future will bring, well, how the roster will look after the split and after relegation, and yeah, I don't know. No, like I think next split will look different for SK Gaming. I would say, in a good or bad way.
Adrian, Lucas, I'd like to thank you all for joining me. Good luck with today's game, tomorrow's game. Twitch chat, I'd like to thank you as well for being Twitch chat, being like behaving. Any last words you want to say to everyone watching?
Lucas.
No. Have a nice day.
I mean, thanks for everyone who's tuned in, and thanks for the fans who still support us, even though we're 3-9. But yeah, rough split. This split sucks.